What if I told you everything you want, the freedom, the abundance, the choices, the dignity lies behind one question, a single question. Simple, unassuming, yet dangerous. A question most people never ask, not because it's hidden, but because it's too confronting. This question is not about how much money you make, not about your job, your background, your education, or your connections. It's not, how can I get rich? It's not, how do I make more? It's this, who must I become to be trusted with wealth? Not given, trusted. Because money, real money, doesn't come to the needy. It doesn't come to the desperate. It doesn't flow to those who want it the most. It flows to those who've built themselves into the kind of person who can command it, multiply it, and direct it with wisdom. You don't get rich. You grow rich. And until you shift your focus from chasing money to becoming the kind of person money is magnetized to, you'll stay stuck, spinning, chasing, exhausted. Money isn't running from you. It's waiting for you to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a creator. Waiting for you to stop measuring your worth by what's in your account and start measuring it by the value you bring to others. Waiting for you to stop asking for more and start becoming more. Because the truth is, wealth is never the problem. Identity is. And until your identity matches the level of wealth you desire, your reality will keep snapping back to your internal set point. You might make more, but you won't keep it. You might grow temporarily, but you'll sabotage. Not because you're not capable, because you haven't become the version of yourself that can sustain it. So ask again, and ask with fire in your chest. Who must I become to be trusted with wealth? That question, it changes the game. It shifts your focus from shortcuts to structure, from hacks to habits, from hype to depth. It forces you to build, to mature, to strengthen the foundations. Most people skip in their rush to get rich. Because money is not an answer, it's an amplifier. It makes you more of what you already are. If you're careless, it makes you reckless. If you're insecure, it fuels your ego. But if you're focused, generous, strategic, it multiplies that. So the path to financial freedom doesn't start in your wallet. It starts in your character. It starts in the mornings you rise early when no one is watching. It starts in the disciplines you keep long after the motivation dies. It starts in the honesty you practice when it would be easier to lie. That's what money is watching. Not your dreams, your decisions, not your vision board, your values, not what you say you want, but what you work for. And work doesn't just mean hustle. Work means transformation. The work of rewiring your mindset, the work of unlearning scarcity, the work of seeing opportunity where others see lack, the work of becoming the kind of person who doesn't just earn more, but attracts more, builds more, gives more. Because abundance is not a destination, it's a discipline. And most people are undisciplined with money not because they lack knowledge, but because they lack vision. They treat money like a goal instead of a tool. Money is not the goal. Freedom is. Influence is. Impact is. Money is the servant. You are the master. But until you master yourself, you'll never master money. So who must you become? A person with clarity not just about what you want, but why you want it. Because vague desires produce vague results. And if your vision isn't strong enough to pull you forward when everything gets hard, you'll go back to default, to old habits, to the identity that's already proven it cannot sustain wealth. You must become a person of purpose, because purpose gives discipline meaning. And when discipline has meaning, it lasts. You don't spend because you're bored. You invest because you're building. You don't chase every trend. You master your craft. You don't look for quick wins. You play the long game because your mission demands it. That's what the wealthy know. Real wealth, generational wealth, isn't built on emotion, it's built on decisions. So train your mind to think in decades, not days. Act like your grandchildren will live in the world you build today, because they will. Let that responsibility light a fire under your ambition. You are not just breaking cycles. You are building foundations. Not just escaping poverty, but mastering prosperity. And that starts with how you think daily. Your mindset is either your prison or your passport. Scarcity says, there's not enough. Abundance says, there's more if I become more. Scarcity says, hold on tight. Abundance says, circulate with wisdom. Scarcity reacts. Abundance designs. And you were not born to react. You were born to create. So stop waiting for money to change your life and start becoming the person who does. That's the one question. That's the one shift. And once you make it, nothing can stop you. Because once you begin to see yourself not as someone who needs money, but as someone who commands value, everything begins to shift. You stop chasing opportunities and start creating them. You stop asking for permission and start writing your own terms. You stop praying for a break and realize you are the breakthrough. But understand this, becoming the person who is trusted with wealth is not a weekend project. It's not about manifesting with a wish and waiting. It's about becoming a fortress of clarity, a fortress of self-control, a fortress of unshakable discipline. You do not get wealthy by emotion. You get wealthy by decision, and then by discipline backing up that decision with consistency so strong, it rewires your future. And when the world tells you enough, you say, not yet. Because you understand that wealth isn't built in comfort, it's built in the quiet discomfort of doing what most people won't do for longer than most people are willing to do it. That's where power lives. In the unseen, the uncelebrated, the unfairly hard. But that's where you belong because you're not here for average. You're not here for scraps. You're here to rewrite the script. You're here to take the pen out of the world's hand and write your own financial destiny. And what does that require? Mastery over impulse. Because the average person will spend $10 chasing the feeling of freedom while the wealthy will delay the feeling for 10 years to own the freedom. The poor ask, how can I look rich? The wealthy ask, how can I build assets so strong my children's children will feel the momentum? And that question is the test. Can you think long enough, build wide enough, stand still long enough to let compounding do its job? Because wealth is not grown with fireworks. It's grown like a tree, slow, quiet, constant, planted in intention, watered with discipline, rooted in values, protected by vision. And every dollar, every single one, is a seed, not just a tool to spend, a signal of your mindset, a reflection of your standard. So what are you planting? Are you planting debt, distraction, delay, or are you planting ownership, opportunity, options? Because money doesn't lie. It tells the truth about your habits, your focus, your beliefs. So look at your bank account. Not with shame, with strategy. Ask yourself, is this account a reflection of who I was or who I'm becoming? And if the answer stings good, let it sting. Let it wake you. Let it ignite the fire that's been buried beneath years of waiting, of blaming, of hoping life would get easier. It won't, but you will get stronger, richer in mind, richer in spirit, and yes, richer in wealth. Because wealth follows those who master themselves. And mastery is not built in theory, it's built in practice. So practice daily, relentlessly. Practice saying no to what doesn't build you. Practice saying yes to what stretches you. Practice seeing time as an investment, not a thing to kill. Practice building income streams, not excuses. Practice building skills that compound, not opinions that fade. This is the game now. Not how much money you can make in a month, but how long you can keep showing up like someone who's already rich in identity long before the world sees it. Because when you live that way, it becomes inevitable. Success becomes not a question of if, but when. Not can I make it, but how big can I build? And the answer? As big as the version of you willing to show up daily, think long term, and never, never break character. Because character is the currency the universe respects most. before it hands you the bank accounts, the investments, the real estate, the businesses. It tests your character. Will you quit when it's slow? Will you panic when it's painful? Will you fold when no one claps, when no one sees, when it feels like nothing is working? That's the exam. That's the gauntlet. That's the gate between where you are and where you say you want to be. And you don't get through by talking. You get through by becoming. Becoming the kind of person who doesn't just want wealth, but embodies wealth in thought, in energy, in execution. Because wealth is not about what you wear. It's about how you think. It's not about what you drive. It's about what drives you. It's not about what you flash. It's about what you build in silence. The average person wants to look rich for strangers. The wealthy build value in private for generations. That's the shift. That's the line in the sand. And you've crossed it. Because the moment you ask, who must I become? Truly ask. With humility and hunger, you start doing the work that matters. You stop outsourcing responsibility. You stop blaming the system, the economy, the algorithm, your past, your parents, your paycheck. You say, it stops with me. And with that sentence, you rise. Not with noise, but with structure. Not with show, but with strategy. You begin to build systems, not just goals. Habits, not just hype. You set standards so high that laziness can't breathe in your presence. You become a steward of your future, guarding your energy, your focus, your time, like sacred resources. Because they are. And now, so are you. You've become sacred to the vision. Because the moment you understand that money is a byproduct of alignment, you stop chasing and start attracting. When your thoughts align with wealth, when your actions align with service, when your heart aligns with contribution, money flows, influence expands, opportunities multiply, not by chance, by character. So stop wondering if you're ready. Stop waiting for the perfect plan. You are the plan. You are the system. You are the strategy. You are the asset the world's been waiting for, and it's time to start treating yourself like one. No more wasting time on distractions that don't pay dividends. No more undervaluing your skill because someone else can't see your worth. No more leaking energy on habits that steal your future in exchange for temporary pleasure. You are done bleeding for a life that doesn't build you. Now you build. You scale. You rise. And every day, every decision, every dollar becomes a brick in the empire of your financial future. No more asking, how do I get rich? You already know. The only question that matters is the one that started this all. Who must I become to be trusted with wealth? And now you know the answer. You must become the kind of person who does not flinch when life tests you. You must become the kind of person who can delay gratification long enough to cash in on vision. You must become the kind of person who walks into rooms with no resume, no introduction, no validation, and still owns the space because your presence has been paid for in full by years of consistency, by nights of grinding when no one believed, by sacrifices no one saw. That's who you must become. A force, a standard, a system that works, no matter what the world throws at you. And when you live this way, not for image, but for impact, wealth cannot ignore you. Because wealth isn't a finish line. It's a byproduct. It follows those who align every cell in their body with becoming more disciplined, more strategic, more useful, more valuable. Not just in thought, but in execution, in the way you talk to people, in how you solve problems, in what you offer the marketplace. Because the market doesn't pay you for effort, it pays you for results, for value. And value flows from vision, structure, and mastery. So stop praying for your life to change and start becoming the kind of person whose life can't not change. Because when you become that person, the world shifts. Your network changes. Your decisions sharpen. Your energy magnetizes. People feel it before you speak it because wealth isn't loud. It's consistent. It's composed. It's calm under pressure. It's sharp in the storm. And that's who you now are. So take the question, who must I become to be trusted with wealth? And let it become your mirror. Look into it every day. Answer it with your habits. Answer it with your schedule. Answer it with how you invest your time when no one is watching. Because your future is not hiding, it's waiting. Waiting on you to show up like the version of yourself that can sustain it. Not chase it, not borrow it, sustain it. And that is how you break the cycle. That is how you shift your lineage. That is how you become the one who didn't just dream but built, the one who didn't just want but worked, the one who didn't just survive but multiplied. And when they ask you how you did it, you'll look them in the eye and say, I asked a better question. I stopped chasing money and started becoming someone who couldn't help but attract it. That's the difference. That's the path. And now it's yours to walk. So walk it with fire. Walk it with pride. Walk it with the quiet conviction of someone who knows. This is who I've always been. I just finally asked the right question. And I finally answered it. And once you answer that question with action, day after day, year after year, you don't just change your financial future. You change your identity. You stop thinking like the person who hoped things would improve. And you start thinking like the person who decides they will. You stop waiting for doors to open, and you start building houses with your own two hands. You stop looking for signs, and you become the signal clear, strong, consistent. Because here's what most never understand. Wealth isn't just about what you have, it's about who you are when you don't have it yet. When the account is low, when the pressure is high, when the world says impossible, that's when the foundation is tested. And if you can hold the vision through the storm, if you can maintain your structure, your rituals, your resolve, then wealth has no choice. It must follow. It must serve. It must show up because it's been summoned by someone who earned it. Not in dollars first, in discipline. Not in accounts first, in identity. Because when the foundation is solid, the structure can rise forever. This is how empires are built, not on hype, but on habits. Not with noise, but with non-negotiables. Every morning becomes a sacred ritual. Every choice becomes a vote. Every action becomes a brick. And one day you wake up, look around, and realize the life you once dreamed of, you're standing in it. Not because of luck, not because of fate, but because you stopped asking, how can I get rich? And started asking, who must I become to never again live small? You became that person, brick by brick, day by day. Now, you don't just have money. You have mastery. You have peace that doesn't shake when the market does. You have confidence that doesn't beg for applause. You have systems so solid, results become a rhythm, not a surprise. You became the person who cannot be poor, not because of what you have, but because of who you are. You rewired your future. You changed your name in the family line from struggle to standard. And generations from now, someone will ask how it happened, how the story shifted, how the chains broke. And your name, your decisions, your discipline will be the answer. So let them say, they didn't wait. They didn't wish. They became. And because they did, we now can. That is wealth. That is legacy. And that is the power of one question asked with courage and answered with your life. And now as you stand on the edge of who you were and who you've decided to become, understand this. There's no going back. Not because you can't, but because you won't. Because once you've glimpsed the truth that wealth is not out there, but in you, everything changes. You walk differently. You speak with purpose. You stop entertaining distractions that used to steal your time like thieves in the night. You don't flex anymore, you build. You don't try to convince anymore, you become. You don't dream in silence. You execute in public. You don't chase riches for approval. You create value because it's who you are. And the world will notice Not because you screamed for attention, but because you lived in alignment. Because you became a mirror reflecting back to others what is possible when a person takes full ownership of their power, their path, and their potential. You stopped fearing money. You started leading it. And now it serves you as it should. Because money is a tool, not a trophy. It's a weapon, not a wound. It's a resource, not a reward. The real reward is the person you became to earn it, to hold it, to multiply it with wisdom. That's the real wealth. The mind that doesn't panic, the soul that doesn't settle, the spirit that refuses to be average, even when no one's watching. You became the exception. You became the one they point to, the one who changed the trajectory, the one who left the excuses behind and carried only vision, discipline, and execution. So now when you see another person lost in the fog, chasing money without meaning, working without wisdom, hoping without a plan, don't judge them. Lead them. Show them with your life. Because you're not just rich in finances. You're rich in clarity. You're rich in belief. You're rich in capacity, and now you're rich in responsibility. To build, to share, to lead. Because the one who becomes worthy of wealth doesn't hoard, they guide. They don't rise alone, they lift. And that is how you change not just your future, but the future. One decision, one habit, one life, fully lived. Let them say it forever. They asked the question, and they answered it with fire. Now go, become the answer, and never ever stop. Because now you carry something far more powerful than a number in a bank account. You carry authority, not granted by title, not gifted by inheritance, but earned. Earned in the silence, earned in the sacrifice, earned in the relentless pursuit of the highest version of yourself. And that authority, it doesn't scream, it radiates. It walks into rooms and shifts the temperature. It makes others sit up straighter. It makes doubt shrink. It makes excuses melt. Not because you told them what's possible, but because you became what's possible. And that is how movements start, not with slogans, but with someone bold enough to change themselves first. Someone who said, no more. No more playing small. No more repeating patterns that keep us broke financially, mentally, emotionally. No more accepting a life dictated by fear, lack, and indecision. That someone is you. You shattered the cycle. You buried the lie that said you weren't enough. You stepped over the threshold from survival into sovereignty. And now your very presence gives others permission to rise. Because you don't just speak wealth, you live it. Not just in what you earn, but in how you think, in how you show up, in how you love, lead, serve, give. That is the new rich. Not just accumulation alignment, not just ownership of things, ownership of self. And if you keep asking that one question, if you keep using it to sharpen your focus, to refine your character, to ignite your action, who must I become to be trusted with wealth? You will become unstoppable, not because you're chasing something, but because you're finally embodying everything you were born to be. So build boldly. Live loudly, not with noise, but with intention. And when the world tries to pull you back, remind it gently. I don't go where I used to. I don't think how I used to. I don't need what I used to. Because I became what I always needed. And because of that, I am free. I am focused. I am the answer. The one who asked the question and then lived it. And now you carry the fire forward. You don't need applause. You don't need approval. You don't need a guarantee. You are the proof. Every breath you take with intention. Every dollar you move with clarity. Every hour you use with purpose. You don't chase wealth anymore. You steward it. You don't beg for time anymore. You own it. You don't live by reaction anymore. You live by design. Because when you became the answer to that one question, when you stepped into the identity of a person trusted with wealth, you changed everything. You changed your direction. You changed your decisions. You changed your destiny. And now the world moves differently around you, not because you asked it to, but because you earned that influence through your example, through the way you rise before the world stirs, through the way you invest when others consume, through the way you speak when others gossip, through the way you build while others wait for perfect. This is what financial transformation looks like. Not flashing, but focused. Not loud, but legendary. And when you reach that place where your internal standard is higher than any external pressure, money becomes what it was always meant to be: a tool for good, a channel for impact, an extension of vision. And from that place, you build not just wealth, but legacy, a legacy of action, of courage, of commitment to something bigger than yourself. You become the branch your family tree grew from, not the end of a cycle, but the start of a dynasty. And when future generations speak your name, it will not be because of what you had. It will be because of who you became. The one who changed everything by asking one question and answering it with every moment of your life. Now go, live it, build it, and let your life become the answer that echoes forever. Because the echo of your life, lived on purpose, will be louder than any speech, louder than any dollar you ever earned, louder than any applause you ever received. Because you didn't just earn money, you earned meaning. You didn't just chase goals, you created gravity. You became a force people feel without needing to understand why. And that's what happens when you stop asking the wrong questions. When you stop asking, what can I get? And start asking, who can I become? That question is the turning point. It's the compass that always points true, not north, but higher. Higher into discipline, higher into vision, higher into responsibility. And when you start living there at that altitude, your entire world reorganizes. Fear becomes fuel. Delays become lessons. And money becomes a mirror reflecting the depth of the person you've built. No shortcuts, no hacks, just daily, disciplined growth. The kind that can't be faked. The kind that can't be bought. The kind that can't be stopped. You've earned it. With sweat. With silence, with thousands of decisions no one saw, but everyone will feel. Because true wealth doesn't just free you, it frees others through you. Your journey becomes a blueprint. Your mindset becomes a movement. And your legacy becomes inevitable. So write it with courage, with clarity, with conviction so strong that generations will rise and call you the one who said, I will not live by default. I will live by design, and I will answer the question that changes everything, not with words, but with my life. And with that decision, that unwavering vow to answer not just once, but every single day, you join a rare breed, not the lucky, not the chosen, but the proven, those who stood at the edge of average and refused to step backward. Those who looked poverty in the face, not just in their pockets, but in their mindset, their habits, their patterns, and said, not me, not anymore. Those who took the weight of legacy and didn't flinch. They carried it. They lifted it. They turned it into fuel. Because they understood what most never will, that true wealth is a reflection. It doesn't start in the stock market, it starts in the mirror. It's not about watching numbers grow. It's about watching yourself grow. And when you grow enough, when your roots run deep, when your foundation holds firm, the fruit comes automatically, abundantly, effortlessly. Because it was never about the fruit, it was about the roots. And now your roots are strong. Now your core is steady. Now your name, your presence, is currency. And when you walk into a room, when you shake a hand, when you make a deal, people feel it. Not flash, not noise, substance, conviction, clarity, weight, because you carry something different now. not desperation, not scarcity. You carry alignment. You carry abundance. You carry authority, born from action. And that can't be bought, can't be copied, can't be faked. It must be built. You've built it, brick by brick, choice by choice, dollar by dollar. And now you carry the crown of your own becoming. Wear it with honor, protect it with humility, and share it with power. Because the wealthiest soul in the room is never the loudest. It's the one who asks the deeper question and live the answer with fire. Let that be you. Let your life be proof that one question, one sacred, dangerous, disruptive question can change everything. And that you are living the answer. And as you live that answer, not just once, not just loudly, but daily, something happens that no spreadsheet can measure, no accountant can audit, and no algorithm can predict. You become untouchable, not invincible to pain, but immune to poverty of purpose, not insulated from failure, but impervious to fear. You become a steward of momentum so real, so relentless, that setbacks don't stop you, they sharpen you. You start to understand that the true dividend of wealth isn't what you keep, it's who you become in the process of building it. It's the man who used to hide his ambition, now walking boldly in vision. It's the woman who once feared her own brilliance, now lighting fires everywhere she steps. It's the soul who once whispered, maybe one day, now roaring, today is mine. Because you didn't just chase money. You didn't just chase success. You chased the truth. You asked the one question most avoid. You went deeper than tactics, further than goals, higher than strategy into identity. And that's what shifted your financial future forever. Not the economy, not the market, not some new tool or hack or trend. You decided. You demanded more from yourself. You dismantled the patterns that kept you small. You rose when you had every excuse to stay down. And now you walk with the calm fire of someone who can never be broken again, not because you never fall, but because you never fall backward. You fall forward, into growth, into wisdom, into the next level. And you carry others with you. Your family, your team, your circle, your lineage. Because this was never just about money. It was about meaning. It was about rising so high that others are pulled up just by being in your gravity. And now, as you build, as you scale, as you serve, you never forget. This wasn't about wealth. This was about worthiness. And you proved beyond all doubt that you were not only worthy of wealth, you were worthy of leading it, worthy of stewarding it, worthy of being trusted with it, because you became the person who could carry it with honor. And now, forever you are free. Free not just financially, free in thought, free in spirit, free in how you move through the world, because you no longer carry the weight of pretending. You no longer chase validation because you embody value. You no longer hustle to be seen because your work is too rooted, too real, too powerful to be ignored. And that is the final gift of asking the right question. It doesn't just change your financial future. It changes how you live. You walk into every day knowing the ground beneath you was earned, knowing that every dollar you touch is a reflection of the discipline behind it, knowing that your wealth is not fragile because it is built on foundations, not fantasy. It is built on who you've become, not what you faked. And no one can take that from you. Not the economy, not the market, not the critics, because you've already taken the most important ground yourself. You've reclaimed your mind. You've rebuilt your heart. You've reprogrammed your identity. And now, you are no longer living to escape struggle. You are living to expand your impact, to scale your service, to multiply meaning, to turn legacy from a concept into a reality. And every time someone asks, how, you smile, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. And you say, I asked one question, and I answered it every day with my actions, my choices, and my standard. Not just who I wanted to be, but who I had to become. And that is how you changed your financial future. Not with luck, not with waiting, but with identity, with ownership, with the courage to ask the hard question and the discipline to become the undeniable answer.